Got our chicken processing station set up again today. We may have some friends coming over to process chickens. It'll be their chickens this time. We're just gonna help in exchange for, I don't know, I think we're getting some milk, raw milk. Anyway, big red flag you should watch out for. If you're ever buying a poultry bird, do not buy anything advertised as this bird was fed a vegetarian diet. You'll see it a lot around Thanksgiving. This turkey was vegetarian fed or grain fed, and they act like it's a feature. It's not. It is not. Poultry are not vegetarians. They need fat, they need protein, they need bugs. So one thing I do feel good about killing our own chickens here and having our own meat is that I know these birds led a good life. They were free range, they had freedom, and they ate a healthy, natural diet. If you're buying a bird at the store, you're probably getting a meat bird that was grown to full size in 8 weeks and slaughtered, which we have done meat birds. I did not like them at all. They grow to full size in 8 weeks and they're fed mostly grain. So they're fat, they're unhealthy, unhappy. And I think that that transfers to the meat. So doing it yourself is not really that hard. You need propane in a pot so you can boil the water and scald them to pluck the feathers. You can either pluck the feathers by hand or you can buy a plucker like we have. This is the kill cone. That's our prep table. It's really not that tough. I'll get some video of it today. But yeah, if you want real ethical chicken or poultry, turkey, duck, whatever it may be, pay attention to the red flags. Were they free range? And were they fed a natural diet, allowed to forage, or even just fed protein? That's also the reason why, if you've ever gotten farm eggs, you've noticed that not only are sometimes the shells brown, but the yolk in a farm egg is larger and thicker and deep orange, whereas a lot of the eggs you buy at the store will just have a pale yellow yolk. And that's a sign that the chicken was not getting enough fat and protein in its diet. Right now we're heading out to the far north pasture to check on the fence. We had a rogue cow tear through the fence last week, and she was eating our hay bales. And I saw her in the field again this morning. But before the farmer who actually leases the fields could get down here, she already ran away. So I told him that I would go out today, check on the fence and see if I can find the hole that she's getting through, and then patch that hole up. I've already patched one big hole, and I know he patched 2 others. So there's gotta be more out there. Wearing my fancy new bandolier. Cool. I'm down in the far northeastern corner of the property. Well, not the property, the pasture. The property goes on for another 100 or 200 yards. I wanted to show you a couple things down here. This is where the cow got in last time. So I'm paying attention to the fence. Look at the size of this oak tree. It's a pin oak. And I believe it's the biggest, oldest tree on the entire property. When my grandpa was still alive, he always made a habit of walking down to this tree. And so when my stepdad passed away young, he had such fond memories of walking down to the tree that he wanted his headstone to be here. Part of what I really want to do with this area is steward this, pave it with concrete pavers, put a bench here, and then visit a couple of times a year with my weed eater and just make sure that his headstone stays visible and that there's a spot for people to sit down and, you know, contemplate. This is where the cow got in last time. So I put up an extra fence post and a no trespassing sign. Not that that's going to work on a cow. And yes, I do have my new snake boots on. So all of that is ours too, all the way out to the edge of the water. I only claim to the edge of the forest because I've always considered the gravel around the creek to kind of just be part of the creek. And I don't mind if people hang out on the gravel of the creek, but as soon as they wander up into the woods, then they are where they should not go. So we've got to continue walking along this fence, see if we can find any damage. The sticker bushes out here are no joke. Check this out. Tore my shorts wide open. Something else I wanted to do while I was out here today was harvest a branch from the big pin oak tree, specifically because my stepdad Scott's headstone is there. So I can make a gift for my brother Jeremy. Kind of a tertiary memorial gift, I guess. It has more meaning, I think, because his dad's headstone is there and I'm taking the wood from this tree, but essentially I'm gonna make an oak handle for a buffalo bone blade. It's a polished piece of buffalo bone in the shape of a boot knife blade, and I'm gonna set it into an oak handle for my brother Jeremy. My stepdad Scott was Caddo, and thus my brother Jeremy is Caddo, and they are far more Caddo than I am Cherokee. So I felt like the polished buffalo bone blade would be fitting. Brother Rob, I know you're watching this video, so when you get here this weekend, please remind me that we need to actually hoof it around this entire fence line and do a patrol. It'll be way easier now that it's fall and the underbrush has cleared out a bit, but we really just need to get feet in the dirt and walk around this fence line and see if we can find where the cow's getting in. I'm hopping out of the truck every once in a while when I can't visually see the fence, but I'm not walking the entire thing today. I got shit to do. This is also the lowest spot on the entire property. Ooh, look what I found. Bones. Lots of good bones. Rib. These are cow ribs. Oh yeah, there's a whole cow skeleton here. Here's some vertebrae. Look how wide that vertebrae is. Well, I'm gonna take all of these. What do you think? Halloween mask? And there's our not insignificant bone haul from that one spot. I'll be able to bulk out Grace the Scarecrow pretty significantly, but I am probably gonna make a helmet or a mask out of the pelvis. All right, I found 2 breaks in the fence, which I fixed, and another 6 spots where tree branches and trees had fallen on the fence and pressed the wire down. Not much you can do about that other than try to find them before the animals do. But that's gonna happen, especially when our fence is right along the forest line. That's not a big deal. It's pretty easy to fix with some elbow grease and a pair of pliers. So now I'm gonna go to the east end, which is also low, and it's also bordered by the creek. And we're pretty sure that the cow is getting in along the creek somewhere, because the other 2 borders, the southern and western border, are really steep hills. So we're really paying attention. All the spots I fixed were on the northern edge, which was easy to drive along. But the eastern edge, you can't drive a vehicle down there. Maybe an off-road side-by-side, but not a truck. So I'm just gonna hoof it down there. Rob, you're still coming back down there with me. But I'm gonna take a short little recon scouting trip down there and see what I can find. This is the shit we're looking for right here. I don't know if you can make out that there's 1 wire connecting these 2 posts. This one's not even in the ground anymore. And thus all of that wire over there is so loose I can just press it all the way to the ground. I'm almost certain this is where she's getting through. All right, I didn't bring any extra T-posts or a post driver today. So I just did what I could with the rest of my fencing wire, using trees and some of the old rusty T-posts. Still needs work, but it's better than it was. I'll come back down in a couple of days with some legit T-posts and get this thing anchored. I did find the cow down there. I didn't get my phone out, but she was just on the outside of our fence. The part that I had just patched up, I'm almost certain is where she was getting through. She was just on the other side of that fence, about 50 feet down. Not afraid of me at all. I walked right up to her. So the fact that she was hanging out near that spot makes me think that's where she's been getting in and out. I'm gonna drive a little further down and make sure. There's a lot of spots in the fence in that low spot along the east that need to be fixed. But I'm not gonna do it today. I don't have any of the right tools. Okay, there are still a couple of spots down there on the low east side that I didn't have the material to fix. And I'm out of time. Whew, I gotta get back to the house and set up for processing chickens. But I did get the cow outside of the fence and jerry-rigged that fence up as best I could. So Rob, you and I gotta go down there and patch it up more permanent-like. And hopefully she doesn't just walk right through it again in the meantime.